morning, this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We're looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Friday, the 8th of January. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, looking at the hourly candlesticks. Slightly bearish start to the morning here. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid the pivot at 38,636 to take a run at the first major resistance level, sitting at 41,148. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high and new swing high 40,383.4. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 41,500 to limit any upside. In the event of another extended rally, should see Bitcoin test resistance at 45,000 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 42,896. A fall through the pivot level would bring the first major support level sitting at 36,889 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should stay clear of sub 36,000 levels. Second major support level sits at 34,376. Looking at the MACD, we've got a bearish cross this morning, supporting this early pullback. So need to keep an eye on that through the early part of the morning. On the EMA, however, we are seeing the 50 move away from the 100 and the 200, suggestive of further upside through the day. So keep through the early part of the morning, avoid the pivot at 38,636, break out from yesterday's high and back through to 41,000 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see Ethereum avoid a fallback through the pivot at 1219.76 to take a run at the first major resistance level, say at 1299.52. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break out from yesterday's high, 1291.94. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 1300 to limit any upside. In the event of an extended rally, should see Ethereum test resistance at 1400 before any pullback. The second major resistance level sits at 1371.7. A fallback through the pivot level would bring the first major support level sitting at 1147.58 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should avoid sub 1100 levels. Second major support level sits at 1067.82. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histogram this morning, supporting this early morning pullback. So looking at the EMA, we're also seeing the 50 narrow in on the 100 and the 200 marginally, also supportive of a pullback through the morning. So keep through the early part of the day. Ethereum's going to need to move back through the pivot at 1219.76, just falling through there, to then bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar, bearish start to the morning here. Going to need to see Litecoin move back through the pivot at 171 to take a run at the first major resistance level, sitting at 180. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break out from 175 levels. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high, new swing high, 181.25 to cap any upside. In the event of another extended rally, should see Litecoin test resistance at 200 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 190.25. Failure to move back through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 160.75 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Litecoin should avoid sub 160. Second major support level sits at 151.75. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histograms after yesterday's late bearish cross, supporting this early morning pullback. On the EMAs, the 50 has also narrowed on the 200, signaling further downside. So key through the early part of the day will be to move back through the pivot at 171 and through to 175 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across to Ripple's XRP against US dollar, it's put a start to the morning, though it's eased back from early highs. Going to see Ripple's XRP avoid a fall through the 23.6% fib at 0.3172 and the pivot at 0.3140 to support a run at the first major resistance level, saying at 0.3818. Going to see support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break out from yesterday's high, that was at 0.37168. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 0.40 to limit any upside. In the event of an extended rally and a break through the 38.2% fib at 0.4070, Ripple's XRP could test resistance at 0.45 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 4395. A fall through the 23.6% fib and pivot at 0.3140 will bring the first major support level sitting at 0.2562 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should avoid sub 0.25 levels. Second major support level sits at 0.1884. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histograms late yesterday, early this morning, following yesterday's bearish cross, suggestive of downside ahead. On the EMAs, however, we are seeing the 50 hold its ground against the 100 and the 200. Nothing conclusive there as yet. So key through the early part of the day would be to avoid 23.6% fib at 0.3172 and the pivot at 0.3140 to support a run at the major resistance levels.